Anthony Pendleton, thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me to this podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know it's your first experience. I'm sure you're trembling with fear, but we'll get through it together. All right.
No, thank you. Thank you.
So you're the CEO of Global Psychology, and you guys are in multiple states, serving 500 plus schools and some other organizations. I think you said juvenile detention centers and whatnot. So just give us a quick, maybe a few sentence blurb about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so we provide special education, staffing, compliance, and program frameworks to about seven states. So currently we're in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Alabama, Washington, D.C., Texas, and Virginia. It's been a lot of fun. I've been doing this for 15 years, and it's been a great journey of impacting schools, communities, and students. So it's been really, really great.
Yeah, and I know you're so committed to the work and to the kids and to making a difference in the world. Why is that? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? That's a great question. And it's so funny. I was thinking about this the other day about why do I do what I do and purpose. And to be honest with you, it's just, it's love. It's love um for people. I think it's love for my industry. And I think the other thing is honor and respect. And what I mean by that is, I've been very blessed of having great mentors, through my journey in education. And I feel responsible and accountable to these individuals to kind of, to represent them and to take that torch and to impact the industry, to grow the industry, through what I do and through my actions and through our impact. So I think it's love, and I really think it's respect, really.
Hmm. I love that. I love love, and that idea about respect too.
Mhm.
Where does that come from? You think, as you think back through your life, think back maybe to your
Yeah.
childhood.
Yeah. You know what? I think that I've been I don't know. I'm a little bit different. I've always been a person that that respect my elders. At a young age, I hung around older individuals, and these were like great leaders. Leaders that had impact in the community and society, and I watched them, I learned from them, and all of them were all similar, where they preach, honor, respect, commitment, and love. And I was very fortunate, to be around them, and their, what I would say, their persona kind of I kind of caught it and was influenced by it. And it's so amazing because I'm driven by that. I'm driven by my experiences of some of my former directors, at DPS, and watching how hard they work, and how can I say, they helped me to be, the leader that I am today. And I think the greatest form of respect is to be, to be like them or be better than them. And I take it very serious. And, again, like I said, I'm very blessed of having these type of individuals in my life.
Yeah, those mentors. I mean, so few of us probably have the that background, have the advantage of having wonderful people like that in our lives. I know I had plenty of folks that were not that, were bad influences on me, but luckily the mentors outweighed those. What was your scenario?
Well, same thing. I had good and I had bad. And it's really amazing that both had impact in my life. With the bad, I learned what not to do, and that was influenced by how I felt, you know what I mean? And the negative impact they had in my life. Well, no, positive, because in a sense, that gave me strength and direction of, of what not to do or what to do, as far as right. And then the ones that were, more positive, it had the same type of impact. And I think that's where a lot of people, they get confused, because I embrace both. And to be honest with you, and I say this all the time, I'm fallible. But my biggest growth has been through mistakes. And I embrace those mistakes. I admit those mistakes. You know what I mean? I have a lot of people. I think currently we have about 300 people to work for me. And I have no reservations in letting these individuals know where I've made a mistake. Because what I look at it, matter of fact, today I just had a meeting with my directors where we use a mistake as a teaching moment, you know what I mean, to kind of have a discussion of where we missed it, and a discussion of of the opportunities, from that mistake, and how we can learn from it, and how it can be a teachable moment. And it's so great. And I love our culture and climate here, because people are not afraid, you know what I mean, they're not afraid to be to take risks, to innovate. And I think we have that culture because I eliminate that fear, you know what I mean, I eliminate that fear of I'm gonna be written up or I'm making a mistake. I love it. And as a result of the behavior that I'm demonstrating, we have a culture where we have several people that are vulnerable. You know what I mean? That does not have any reservation of indicating to their colleague that they miss it and that they made a mistake. And I love it. I love it. Don't get me wrong. We're not purposely trying to make mistakes, but what I'm saying is we have a forum and a culture that allows that because we're human, and I think sometimes we forget that, and I'm going on a tangent, but it amazes me about social media, about everything is so perfect, you know what I mean? And that's not life. That's not reality. And I try to make sure that we have reality here. And again, like I said, I love it. People are taken aback sometimes. They're like, who does that? But I think it's so important to admit when we're wrong, and to be vulnerable at times. I really do. I really do.
Yeah, it's an extension of love, using your initial point, right?
I
Uh,
agree. I agree.
yeah, I'm more and more convinced that we're driven primarily at the deepest level by really two different emotions. At one end of the spectrum is fear, which shows up as anger and defensiveness and all sorts of anxieties, whatever. And on the other end is love, that we're willing to grow and improve and get better and be in the service of others. And what I hear from you is you're focused on that. You're focused on that future. You're focused on loving the best out of people as part of
Hmm.
your leadership work.
Yeah, I think you can never go wrong. I have a saying, I always want to edify people. I want my experiences with them, or them, their experiences with me, to have a takeaway where I improve in, some sort of form or measure. And I try to do that. I really do. And it's so much joy, because I think in the world, we're so quick to tear people down. We're so quick to demean people. We're so quick to inform people about their faults. And I think sometimes it's harder to do the opposite, what I mean, of walking in love, or acknowledging people. And it's so rewarding and so gratifying when you see the impact it has on people. And for me, I don't know. I've always been like that. I see the good in people, or better yet, I see the potential in people. So when I'm interacting with my workers, and when I'm talking to them, like for instance, had a conversation today with, with a teacher, and the conversation today was about her being a director and a coordinator. And she couldn't believe, I'm having this conversation because, like, this is what I see in you. You know what I mean? This is how I see your future. Let's start talking about that. Let's start planning, a direction and a pathway where you can become a leader because you already exhibit these traits. And a lot of people, they fail to recognize that because they've been torn down so much, stripped down. And I think that's another component of who I am as a leader, and how I manage this organization, because everyone in our organization, they have to be a leader, and I interact with them as a leader, you know what I'm saying, and I treat them like a leader. And that's a great thing. That's another greatest spirit, that we have here at the organization.
So many words that kind of run through, and you can see a theme here of, you said edifying and love and building people up and helping them grow, and strong culture. That sort of ties all this together. I know is your own personal faith. So I'd love to hear you talk about that a little bit and what that means for you as a leader.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a Christian. I'm a believer, and my faith is very strong. And I'm a firm, proponent of following spiritual principles. And again, the center of it is love. The center of it is being a servant leader. Putting others before you. And I can tell you right now in the audience, I'm a very blessed man in so many different ways. And I think, that I'm blessed because I follow these principles. And when you have these principles, you have purpose in life, and your life is fulfilling, not just by, the accolades or by money. It's truly fulfilling, because you're able to be yourself, around people, and those people are able to be, themselves around you. And the way I look at it, I spend probably 40%, 50% of my life in this career. And I was determined, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to live it, to its fullest. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to love it. I'm going to enjoy it. And I can truly, tell you, I enjoy what I do. I enjoy coming to work. I enjoy, meeting new people. Like, we had a new orientation yesterday with new employees, and we had lunch. So I went downstairs, had lunch with them. You know what I mean? And they're like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm the CEO. And they're like, why are you down? And I'm like, because I want to interact with you. I want to hear about why you're here, and about your family, and what you do, and what your interest is. I just take so much pleasure in breaking down those barriers. And I think it was a lot of fun, and they were all surprised, but at the end of the day, they were very appreciative for me to take the time off to go down there and have lunch with them. You might think it's very simplistic, but it made a statement, that I care about them. I care enough to go down there and have lunch with them. You know what I mean? And talk to them, and to ask them how their day is, and to ask them how their family is. That means so much. You just don't know, and with people. And so I don't try to talk. Talk the faith. I try to live it, and I try to model it through my behaviors, and so far so good. I think I'm kind of all right with that.
There's so much in what you said. We could spend hours on any one of those things, Anthony. I'm laughing because I just realized the person that sort of takes these podcasts and splits them up and finds different nuggets of gold. He's gonna have a really hard time because there's so
I'm
many.
sorry.
So good luck, Johnny. Um,
Yeah.
so I want to come in one thing you said that I think is really, really insightful and a valuable distinction, I think, because we're so focused in our culture on sort of happiness and fulfilling our own sense of needs. And you could
Mhm,
argue some ego in there.
mhm,
But what you said, I think, is a valuable new way to consider things, which is to be fulfilled.
mhm.
What's the difference you say there between being fulfilled in what you do versus being sort of happy and every day is great?
You know what? I think we all have a sense of purpose. And you know what's really interesting? I ask that question all the time about purpose and end game, and people look at me, and stare at me and like, I've never thought about that. I never, and then you understand the reason why people are unhappy or why people, they go from job to job. And I think the most gratifying, most fulfilling thing is to live your purpose, to know how you fit. How can I say? How do you fit in this world ecosystem? Because we all have a responsibility. We all are connected. I mean, from give you a case in point where I have a secretary, and on our pay scale, I would say that and the way that we have our compensation structure, she's this person's probably the on the low totem pole, but that person is very significant to our organization of helping us be organized, of giving us direction as it relates to administrative services and things of that. And if this person were to leave us, it would have impact in our ability to be successful. And I think a lot of times people really don't have an understanding of how important their role is and how unique their role is and how all of these things are interconnected and their ability of fulfillment. And I try to do that with my workers, of having those conversations about the why do you do what you do, and their end goal, because I'm very interested in one, going back to edification, of helping them to fulfill that end goal. And the way I look at it, if I'm able to help them navigate that, and that's within my organization and it's in alignment of what I'm doing, then that is extraordinary. You know what I mean? That is so great and so impactful, because it accomplishes two things. You're going to have someone that's highly motivated. You're going to have someone that I think that will bring 100% as it relates to what they're doing. And then on top of that, I'm helping someone fulfill their dream and their purpose. I don't think you can do any better than that. You know what I'm saying? It's a double whammy. And that's what we do here, of trying to help people find themselves and find purpose. Because I can tell you right now, I witness and I deal with that a lot, where people, they're unhappy and they don't know why they're unhappy. And I think they're unhappy because they don't know their purpose. They don't know, you know what I mean, where they fit. And as a result, they get frustrated and they try to go after these bright, shining objects. And then when they get into that particular job, they realize this is not me. You know what I mean? This is not where I need to be. And I don't have time for that, here with my organization. So we try to help people find themselves, find their true north. And going back to your question, I think that's the true essence of fulfillment, really.
It's such a valuable insight, and it leaves all of us saying, if we're not happy, that's not the job's fault. It's not the world's fault. I got to look inside myself and figure out where do I get to get my sense of purpose from? What is it going to bring me fulfillment? And that's something I need to work on. That by far the most inspirational and the most fulfilled sort of woman on fire for her job that I've met in the last 5 or 6 years of doing this was a university janitor.
Really?
By far. No offense to you or anybody else out there that I've worked with,
Hmm.
but this woman I mean, she literally talked about how when she comes to work, she comes to throw down for these kids. That she is, I mean, she was on fire because she wants to provide dignity and a place of respect for these kids so they can learn and they can make a difference in the world someday. I mean, she would go on for minutes,
I
and like
love
the whole
that.
room was on fire with like, let's all go, let's go get to work. She was amazing.
I love that. I love that. And just to share with you something I did. So, I go to Indiana a lot, and I go to the same hotel, and I have these wonderful, hotel attendants, that, I mean, just a wonderful, outstanding. And I remember June, because I was done in June, and it was two of them. And I went out, got a thank you card, and each one of them, I gave them a gift card for $100. And they both cried because I gave them different times. They both cried. Said, no one's never done that, for them. And I was like, I felt compelled to do this because of the way you treated me. You know what I mean? And what I would say, the excellence as it relates to the service and the commitment to the organization, and your excellence and commitment to me. It's just like I just told them I was honored to be, to experience this. And it was my way of thanking them, you know what I mean? Of acknowledging them and giving the gift card. And between me and you, I wish we do more of that, because there's so many heroes out here. There's so many people that do great things, and we don't take the time to say thank you, or take the time to give a card, to them. And just that reaction, man, it was so fulfilling of just seeing them react like that. I didn't want them to cry, but it's just that I wish, we can do more of that, or I can influence, more people to do that. Because, man, as a society and as a world, would be so great if we can get a habit of acknowledging, things like that, and saying thank you. And so that's on my soapbox. But yeah, I
No,
just
it's
wanted
not
to
a
share that with you,
soapbox. It's
man.
not a
Yeah.
soapbox at all. It's a wonderful insight, and and I would argue that you don't need to be a CEO who can afford to hand out $100. That all you need is that card, right?
Yep.
What brought the tears was seeing them, was literally seeing them and acknowledging them, and the $100 was a nice bonus. But my guess is that what really they brought them to tears was you just acknowledge their existence and thank them.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it goes back again, going back to what we started off with, love. And really, love, you know it can start with just saying kind words, or affirming people. And in a sense, this kind of, how can I say, affirm some of the things I stated earlier about so much negativity. So when you do something contrary to that, a lot of times people don't even know how to handle it. You know what I mean? And it's so powerful. And I think just my commitment to the world is to do that, where I try, and I'm very, very intentional, where I try to acknowledge, positive things, with individuals that come in my path. Because again, like I said before, we don't do enough of that. And you'd be amazed. So as a leader, I can tell you unequivocally, I can run up a hill, fighting a war, or a battlefront, and all of the people here in this organization will be right behind me and by my side, unequivocally, seriously. And I don't think a lot of leaders can say that, but I think that I can say that because these individuals know that I love them, I care about them, and I would do the same for them. And I again, this is the reason why I'm so blessed, because I have employees that care about me as well. And I love it, man. I really do.
So for those who are listening who want to become more intentional, because I love that word, because it doesn't mean that Anthony was born this way. You've had to cultivate this mindset, this way of being. The gift cards and the letters don't just happen by themselves. You have to be intentional. So what would you say to folks out there who want to be more intentional about spreading the good vibes?
Yeah, you know what? Remember what I said earlier about sitting down and having lunch with my employees? It starts with that, about really listening, watching, and observing. It's so much you can learn about people of just doing that. And and that's really, it's not that hard. That's basically what I do. I sit down with people, I listen to them, I observe them, and from there it leads my behavior from there. And it leads to me having behavior that's authentic. I mean, it's not fake because I'm putting the time in. And just me putting the time in of noticing someone. Like the other day, I was just commenting to someone about, they did a presentation. We have the orientation, and just how they, how their command of the audience and how they navigated the room. I just made that really subtle comment to them, and you could just see them beaming, their smile from their ear to ear. And it just comes down to us taking the time to slow down and really observe and interact with our colleagues, what I mean, and our employees. Really, it's that simple. It might sound simple, but you'd be surprised about how many people that do not do that. You know what I mean? And I do that. I take the time to interact with everyone here in this office, and it's afforded me the ability to affirm everyone here that works at this organization. Really.
That's great. I'm laughing because we're almost out of time, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
we were supposed to talk about talent, but we're not going to do that, Anthony, because that's boring compared to what we've been talking about. So we'll do that. Maybe I'll have you back on. We can talk about talent.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Let's do that.
what's your dream? If I were to ask you, what's your dream for your employees, for the kids that you serve? What would you say?
You know what? Going back to fulfillment, I think I have my biggest joy. So, this is my thought process. If I can empower and I can give, the individuals that I interact with the ability to have impact, that is my biggest dream, because ultimately I want to impact the world. And I know I can't do it by myself, but I can do it through others. You know what I mean? And by empowering these individuals where they can believe in themselves and they can, be leaders that inspire others, that's how you have impact. And so my dream is, centers on my ability to empower, these individuals, so that they can go out and do what I do. I would love to see more CEOs, that have company like me that service over 500 schools and thousands of kids. If we have, a plethora of these organizations, I mean, man, we would have great impact in education and great impact in society and just in the world. So that was my dream of helping others to, to have an organization like what I have here, or even have a better organization or bigger organization. That's my dream, because I think that's the only way that, if you think about it, globally, that we're going to have impact in society in the world. So, that would be my dream, really. I would be so happy with that.
Oh, sign me up. I'm on that. I'm on that dream train with you. So let's wrap up with a book. What book would you recommend to the audience here?
I know. And the audience, we were talking about it earlier. I think the greatest book is the Bible, because I think a lot of the things in the Bible are very plain, very simplistic. And I follow those principles. I really do. And to think about it, the Bible has so many great stories of 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 normal people, or people with faults. Matter of fact, people with faults that, that have overcome those faults, and to the point where they're great leaders, and they impact society, or and I don't think there's a better read than that, because there's so much to learn from it. And I'm very simplistic, and I would recommend that, the Bible, seriously.
Hmm. I give one to my kids when they get to a certain age, and I always write in the front of it. I said, the world, the life generates lots of questions.
Mhm.
Period. This book has all the answers. Now, those answers may not be obvious right away. It may take weeks or months or years to find. But so far, at least for me, that's what I've found to be the case. Is
Mhm.
it really is a gold mine because it is so simple. I just heard a fascinating breakdown of the prodigal son story,
Uh-huh.
which many people have heard over and over again, right? The one son leaves home and goes and squanders his money and comes home, on groveling basically, and the father kills the fatted calf to celebrate him, and the son that's been there the whole time is, kind of upset because the father never had a party for him and he stayed and he was loyal.
Mhm.
And so much of the energy is focused on the wayward son that finally comes back, right, and the
Mhm.
father's love, but we often ignore the other son who stayed.
Mhm.
And that this author makes the case that what Jesus is really pointing to is that both are equally sinning,
Mhm.
just in different ways.
Mhm.
The one is living a life of luxury and sort of decadence, and the other is very prideful and very scornful of his brother. And it's like boom, I've heard that story a million times, right? And yet there's another lesson in it. It's just unbelievable, the layers and layers of insights and profound depth that it offers. So I couldn't agree more. Thank you for that.
No,
Well, this has
no.
been great, Anthony. I
Thank you.
appreciate the time, and I appreciate, more importantly, what you're doing for kids all across the country. I know you guys are growing like crazy, so
Yeah, thank you.
I hope you continue to do that.
Well, and thank you for taking it easy on me. So maybe next time I'll do better. How about that? So,
Uh,
but no, I would enjoy, seriously, if you have time, for me to come on again. I think it would be great. And and if this is something where we can get the message out, count me in. So I'll throw it back on you. Is that fair?
all right, sounds good.
Okay. All right. Have a blessed day, man. Okay.
Thank you, Anthony.
All right. Bye bye.